Hello guys, and welcome to this tutorial in House Buengo. Tutorial number 1 for team 1, which was requested to create a client API setup where would request for data of a specific ID on this URL https dummyjson.com/product. So this was for team 1, but everybody has to see this and they have to learn this. For as long as you're in House Buengo, I recommend that you watch this tutorial, as it will help you learn something new, which will help you as you progress as a programmer. Because this thing that we're doing here is not just for the competition, but it's things that we're going to be doing in the industry. So I recommend that everybody watches this tutorial. So the question that was asked to these guys, as you can see here, is I said, I'm sorry guys, I blacked out last night. I was super tired. Yes, I was. And this goes to Gift and Chimuka. I want you guys to send a request to the JSON API from https dummyjson.com/products and retrieve data of any product ID. Your output should look like the screenshot attached to this. As you can see on the screenshot I've created, a document called client.py, which is a Python file, and I've written some code which I didn't show. That has retrieved data of the product with ID number 1. So this is the screenshot that we're talking about. Yeah. So the screenshot here shows the data that we requested for. So I created some code which I haven't shown here, like I said in the message. So we retrieved data for ID number 1, which is an iPhone 9, and the description was an Apple mobile, which is nothing like Apple. These guys are really funny. So the price is $549. I wonder what kind of an iPhone is that. Discount percentage. Oh, by the way, I'm not an iPhone fan, and all those things. Yeah, as we can see. So we want to retrieve data like that. So that was just an example. You can retrieve data of any ID. So I continue to say here, for you to make this, you need to have a fair understanding of the basics of Python, which I can gladly help you with, or you could ask ChatGPT. You don't have to use Flask. So this goes to what I said the previous day when I said that you need to use Flask to create this API. So you don't need to use Flask. Actually, what you need to do is you can use requests, which is simple to use. Yeah. So without further ado, what do you do after reading such a question? So after reading such a question, what you do is you click on this link here. When you click on that link, it will redirect you here. So this is what you're going to see depending on your browser. Otherwise, if it shows something like this, just click here where it's written JSON. Otherwise, it's just the same thing. As you can see, this is products, and we've got products here as well. We've got ID, iPhone 9, description, yada yada. So this website is just giving us everything at hand. It's giving us about 30 phones here, 30 products to be exact. They're not just phones, it's a mixture of products. As you can see, we've got product ID number 1. So in this example here that I sent for the screenshot, I got items for product ID number 1. So yeah, we've got product ID number 1, which is an iPhone 9, which is the data that I collected, and this is the description here. So this data is stored somewhere in the server in another computer, and I want to access it in my computer. So what do? I create an API. An API is what's going to help me retrieve this data. So as you can see, there is a lot of data. As I said, we've got data with ID number 2, ID number 3, ID number 4, and so on and so forth, up to ID number 30. As you can see, my scrolling thingy has ended there. So we've got data up to ID number 30. So I want you guys, the test was, I wanted you guys to retrieve data any of any ID. So as you can see here, if you retrieve data for ID number 6, for example, you're going to have a MacBook Pro. If you retrieve data of ID number 7, you're going to have a Samsung Galaxy book, and so on and so forth. So that was the task that was at hand. So to do that, what do you need to do? First thing that you do is, like I first said, is open the link which you have already opened. Secondly, you can copy this link, though it's not recommended what I'm about to do, but like I said you could use ChatGPT for this. So you come here to ChatGPT and you put in your prompt here. Like for me, my example of the prompt that I gave was, I just said, help me create a client API using Python to retrieve data of a specific ID from this link. So I pasted this link from dummy JSON. I pasted it here. And then this is what ChatGPT gave me. To create a Python client API to retrieve data of a specific ID from the given link, dummy JSON, yada yada yada, that link, you can use the request library to make an HTTP GET request and then pass the JSON response. Here's a simple example of how to do this. So this is the code that it gave. As you can see here, the first thing that it did is import request. The same request that I said here that you could use here. Yeah, the same request that I said that you have to use there. So what you do as a Python developer, what you do is, the first thing that you need to do is install request. So for me, it's already installed, but let me just give you a quick guide on how you could install it. So you just say pip install request. You open your command prompt and then say pip install request. I'm using Linux, I'm sorry about that, but yeah, I'm using Linux, so I'm going to see this as a, let me just clear my terminal. So you open your command prompt and then you just say pip install request. So for me, this thing is already installed. It says requirement already satisfied. If you don't have it, it's going to say something else, which you just need to, it will start downloading otherwise. Yeah, and then make sure that you are connected to the internet when running that command, because it's going to download something from the server. So yeah, after that you import the request. Let's copy this code firstly and then open our text editor. So you can open the Python IDE that you downloaded. So to do that, all you need to do is just press the start button on your PC and then type Python IDLE and it will open up. I'm not using Windows, I'm using Python, so I don't have that installed in my PC, but I do have Python installed in my PC, but I don't have the Python IDE. So what do I do? So you open the Python IDE. When you open it, you're going to see something like this. So you're going to press on file and then you come here where it's written new. So when creating a new file, you paste the code that you got from ChatGPT, you paste it right there, and then you press Ctrl S to save, or you just come here and press save. So when saving the file, you make sure that you know exactly where you saved the document, and then you give it a file name. So the file name that we're going to give it is client.py. So we'll give it that name, client.py. As you can see, the colors have already changed, showing that it's a Python file. So you're going to give it that name, client.py. Then after that, let's go through the code and see what ChatGPT was trying to tell us. So here is the code here. So ChatGPT was saying, in this example, we import the request library to send HTTP requests. So this is what the request library is for, the one that you just from installing using your command prompt. So it is used to send HTTP requests. Then after that, we created a function named get product data by ID, and then we created a parameter here. So this is a parameter. I'm going to make some Python tutorials to follow everything up after this. Otherwise, for now, just follow through and copy and paste whatever is going to be happening here. Yeah, I'm going to create some tutorials that will explain everything in detail. So for now, just follow through this. And then it says we defined a function called get product data by ID that takes in product data as a parameter and constructs the URL with a specific ID. So we constructed a URL here with the ID of the product that we want to get. So as you can see here, we're using formatted string. I'm going to explain this as well as we move further. I'm going to create more tutorials like this just to explain about Python and everything that we're doing here. So just be patient a bit. Yeah, so fast forward. We created these exception handlers, try and except. So these are used to manage errors. When you get an error in your code, they are mostly handled with this to avoid the application from crashing. You use try and except blocks. So we're using try and except block to get the response to. So we created a variable here, response, which is saving the request. So this is the request dot get URL. So the URL. So we are sending a request to get this data and saving it in a variable named response. This is what this code is doing. Then from there, we're going to say response.raise for status. So this response.raise for status is going to check if there is an error. It's going to say maybe let's say when it says 404 it's page not found, 200 it's okay and whatnot. So after that it's going to check for the status. If the status is in the clear, it's going to continue to the next line, which says product data equals response.json. So we've created another variable by the name of product data, which saves the response.json. So as you could see here, this data that's here, it's all in JSON file. It's in a JSON file. It's in JSON format. So we're going to save that data there. Then when we save that data, what do we do with that data? We return the product data. So this is a function. As you all know, a function returns something, has to return something. So here, this function returns the product data, which is just the JSON or the products that you've requested for in this case. So if that doesn't happen, if there's an error, let's say we specified a wrong product, we're going to get an error which is going to show maybe 404 error and whatnot, all those things. We're going to check what happens afterwards. So here we've got an example here. It continues to say, now if you want to make a request, now you need to create a variable by the name of product ID, and then you assign a number of the ID that you want to get. So in this case, ChatGPT added 123, which doesn't exist. As we all know, the number of items in our JSON server, this one is 30, which we checked, which we had checked in the last minutes. So, there it is. We've got 30. As you can see, we've got 30 products. So in ChatGPT here has shown 123, which is the number of products that it's saying. So if we would run this code right now, we'd get an error. But let's not do that. Let's test first if it's going to run just fine. So back to our back to our code. Products data equals products data by, so we're calling this function here. We're calling this function here. We're calling this function here so that it could work. We could save the data in this variable product data. And then we're going to say if product data, print product data, print product data. Programming is fun. Okay, so here are the differences between these two. This is a string. It's going to print out this exactly the way it is, and then this is going to print out whatever is going to be returned by this function, whatever is going to be returned by this function, which is this that we talked about, the JSON file, the JSON data. That's what's going to be printed out. And then we're going to say else print failed to retrieve product data. So if the number is wrong here, it's going to say failed to retrieve the product data. So let's see how this thing works. Now let's go back to our Python file. So to this, let's go back to this. Like I said, so we save. So for you guys who installed Python, it comes with an IDE, like I said before. So what you do is there is a run button somewhere here. There's somewhere written run code or run module, something like that. So you have to press that to run this code. So you need to press that to run this code. So for me, I don't have that. So what do I do? So for you guys, just do that and it will show you the output in a lovely manner. But before you do that, let's change this here. Okay, let's just run it before changing it firstly. We see what's going to happen. So for me to run this, I'm going to use my terminal again. So I'll say Python. So you don't need to do this if you're on Windows, just press run on this graphical user interface. Me, I'm going to use the command line interface. So I'm going to say Python client.py. So let's see what comes out. Yeah, there it is. So it has brought something here. Wait. I think something is wrong. Oh yeah, I'm running the wrong code. So I've got two copies of this same code. So let me just say, where have I saved this? Let me just look at the directory where this is saved. File. I think it must be at the desktop. Let me check. Is there anywhere written client.py here? No. Where is it saved? Let me just find out where this is saved. Okay, I've known what to do. Let me just open this. So this is the one that's running. So I had put product 3. As you could see, we returned the data of product with ID number 3. So the initial thing that was there was 1, 2, 3. Let's save. Oh, by the way, it's the same thing, nothing has changed, same code, just changing it to suit the thing that we did there. So yeah, when we run this code, we're expecting an error, and there it is. We got error 404, client error, not found for URL 123, failed to retrieve product data. So as you can see, the errors that are running basically are just this one, which is saying error, and then it continues to say there 404, the error name. It says client error, so the error comes from the client, not the server. Then it continues to say that failed to retrieve product data. So now let's put the the correct data there. So let's put the correct data. So the correct data is, let's say, number 12. We save. Make sure that you save before running, and then where is it? You open the terminal, you run. There it is. So ID, so it says product data, ID number 12, title is brown perfume, so we've retrieved brown perfume. The description is Royal Mirage Sport brown perfume for men and women, which is about 120 mils. Price is 40 kwacha. Discount percentage 15.66. Ratings for yada yada yada, all that product data. So basically, this is what I wanted you guys to do, and I hope you have learned a thing or two. I know that most of you are new to this, but I just hope that you have gained an insight of what was required for you to do. I'll make more tutorials, Python tutorials to be exact, which will explain everything in depth, so that everyone benefits from this tutorial. Otherwise, for now, I'll say may peace be with you, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Thank you very much.